Welcome to Buried Talent, the show for young professionals that tears down false beliefs about faith and work so you can unbury your God given talent right where you are. I'm Patrick Lowndes, and with me is Ken Freire, my co host. And today we're talking about the missing link between calling and your career. So we're going to dive in on that. But before we do, brief check in. It's been a little minute, Ken. How are things going in the Freire household with your newborn? I know you're waking up super early, ungodly hours of the morning.
I would be lying if I said I'm full of energy and I'm like awesome right now. I'm pretty tired actually right now, but all things considered, he's healthy, mama's healthy, and I am not sick. So we press on.
You are hanging in there. I love that. Awesome. Well, for me, spring is a busy time for us at Frontier Operators. I've been traveling to different cities and universities, just getting to speak and encourage a lot of folks on this specific topic. So it's going to be fun to jump into that today. Do you want to maybe start us off with a bit of that framework that we're just to kind of tease people on kind of what we're going to lead towards in today's session? And then from there, we can just begin to unpack.
Yeah, one of the things that we have found is that people get stuck a lot when it comes to they have this general sense of their calling, but they don't know how to tie their that calling to their career. They do it maybe in their personal life, maybe in other areas, but not their career. So there's a framework that we're going to actually go through. I know I put it at the top of our notes, Patrick, but we'll talk about it a little bit. But I want us to know that when you have a North Star,
Mm,
I'm a lot more clear. But here's what we have found. Here's a false belief I think most people struggle with. They typically don't want to create a North Star direction for their life because they think something like this, like if it's going to take me 10 years to make an impact, then why try to articulate a statement now? Why do I try to define where I'm going? Like we know it's all going to change. And what we have found is that when you start thinking about that you're like career changing, skills are going to grow, your interests will evolve, you kind of unintentionally will walk into career drift because you're being reactive versus proactive. And
mm,
what we're talk about today, the missing link, which what we're going to call is a marketplace calling statement. That's the missing link.
mm,
When you start to put this into your life, you go from having a career drift to being proactive in your career and
mm.
in your call.
I like it. I like it. And maybe let's tee this up for our audiences because I've been hanging out a lot with university students, directors of career services, professors. And so, like, if you're still on a college campus and you're studying for a specific degree, you like, for hopefully, if you're an upperclassman, you probably have already declared a specific major. You're trying to gun for it. So, let's say you're a finance major or mechanical engineering, you're going to get into psychology or business management, whatever it is. You probably have an idea about field of work that you generally want to be in, right? But this is the hard thing to square with is 90% of the time, maybe more, your first job will probably not be fulfilling your exact marketplace calling and the thing that you're like super jazzed to get up and tell your friends, oh, look exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes it happens that, but most of the time your first job's not there. So Ken, that's what we see on university campuses. What do we see for people that are already out there in the market?
Yeah, I think when they're in the market, you're trying to leverage half of your waking hours every day towards a more purposeful impact. Meaning you're like, okay, I'll do my 9 to 5, but then I'll try to be more impactful. I have other activities that I do, other actions that I'm doing. You're more involved in your church, which is not bad. I'm not trying to say none of those things are wrong, but it's almost like you have that separation in your mind between what
Yeah.
you at work and what quote unquote ministry may look like.
We were just talking with another guy earlier this week, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it'd be great. Well, let's put someone up in a job for 40 hours a week, and they can do ministry on the weekends." And we like almost stopped the meeting, like, "Bro, like that kind of thinking is the problem." I didn't say it
Yeah.
just like that, but I was more gentle. But I think that as professionals, we got to think about this link more intentionally. I mean, just look at companies. Sometimes you like look at how the best companies in the world are run, and they're pointing their efforts usually towards like a vision and then a mission statement. Why do they do that? Like if companies are just a company, they declare those things so they can have a specific clarity about where am I going? Who do I want to serve? How do I want to serve them? What do I want to do? And if a company is going to come up with that and talk about it at a board meeting, talk about it at a company kickoff. Why don't we have a little bit more of an opinion about what are we doing with our lives and with 80,000 hours of our careers? So that's what we're going to jump into this today, so we can avoid this issue, Ken, of like, well, like why even try if it's kind of so far away or it feels so unattainable? Like why even try is kind of the attitude. We're going to get after that today, Ken. So first of all, is there any science to back this up about like, why should I even write this down? Because that's what we're saying. Figure it out and write it down. What's the science behind that?
Research consistently shows that writing down goals significantly increases the likelihood of achieving them. A well-known study by Dr. Gail Matthews at Dominican University found that people who wrote their goals down were about 42% more likely to accomplish them compared to those who only thought about them. I want you to think about that, 42%. So if you were all of a sudden saying, hey, I have clarity on where I'm going and what I'm trying to do, and you write those down and you can see them every day, you're going to be way more focused.
That's right. But you're probably going like, write what down, Patrick? Like this is still difficult. All right, we're going to break it down for you super clear and easy. When I'm talking about this on stages in front of people, I give a statement about what we think marketplace calling is, right? And so when we're talking with larger groups of people, what we like to lay out in front of them is a vision for, like how does God actually direct you? And so here it is. Your marketplace calling is God's active direction and guidance for you to bring his kingdom on earth through your faithful work unto him. And to make that even more specific, here's for you engineers or people that love math out there. Here's a simple math problem. It's your what, which is your skills, plus your why, which is like a problem or a mission you want to solve in the world, plus your where or a context. Okay, so what plus why plus where? Skills plus a problem plus a context. So let's just dive into each one of those. Ken, what do we mean when we say like your skills?
Yeah, this is all about like what abilities has God placed in your hands? What are the things that you're good at? Like, for example, you may be good at math. You just talked about math and engineers, right? You may be good at marketing. You may be good at finance, operations, leadership, people skills, public communication. There's so many things. There's actual things you do with your hands, like mechanics, right? Doctors, nurses. There's so many different skill sets that come along with that. And we want you to almost take an inventory of all those skill sets.
Yep. And you could even, you could look at like a strengths finder tools. Like there's so many different like skills inventories that you could like start with. But I would challenge you, like, just come up with a handful of them. We like in Operate with Purpose, we have people come up with 5 skills that they think are the most marketable skills that companies or organizations might want. Now, the second one, skills plus a problem or a mission. We like to think about this as God-sized problems that are affecting the world. So if you hang out with us at all, yes, it might be a problem that like, your zipper keeps getting stuck when you're trying to like zip up your zipper and you're like, I hate that stupid zipper. But like, we're talking about much, much bigger problems here. So I love it.
We're not talking about first world problems.
This is not personal. It's not first world problems. So my friends, Justin Foreman, Henry Kasner, Solving the World's Greatest Problems. I love how they articulate some of these problems. And also friends at Praxis do something as well with opportunities for redemptive imagination. But just to list off a few of them, there are some real obvious ones like violence and sickness and poverty and economic exploitation. I mean, even human trafficking. There's ones that lean a little more spiritual. So many people are going to die and go to hell because they don't have access to the gospel. They've never heard it one time. And as Christians, that is a unique thing that we believe, that our job is to actually be about telling people and giving them a chance, giving them a shot to hear about the good news of the kingdom of God. And we believe that it's actually on the church and it's our job to do that. So that's a big problem. Or a Bible translation is another one. Like people don't even have the ability to read the Bible. Or it could be like, hey, some people, Patrick, don't even have clean water, or they're polluting the environment. Like there's so many massive things, creation care kind of topics. And so there are ways to kind of narrow down a problem or mission in the world. It's not to say that, one problem is worth solving and the other is not solving. What we're saying here is, which one are you drawn to that you feel like God has given you a desire towards solving, right? That's because I feel like clean water is a major issue in the world. I just don't feel like my life and skill set is designed to try to help specifically with that problem. But I'm so grateful for the brothers and sisters that are solving that problem, and who are called to that, right? Which is great. So that's what we mean when we say a problem or a mission. And we like to try to dream at a pretty big global scale as much as possible. And yes, there might be a more local application of that, but Ken, tell us what the third part, what we mean by aware or a context.
Yeah. So by context, we're talking about like the people, a demographic, or a place, right? Like a geographical place. So you'll hear this where some people might say, hey, I have a heart for Southeast Asia or Africa or different locations around the world. And that's okay. But sometimes it's also a people group, right? They're like, I really want to work with this type of people group or a demographic. Like, I really love working for young people. It could also be things like small business owners or startups or undeserved communities, right? Or students, right? College students, you may have that passion. You want to look at all these different applications, right? So the what are your skill sets? Then you want to look at the problem and then who are the people? And the intersection of all those three things is one, where you might feel called to, but two, then you could start writing a mission statement or sorry, a marketplace calling statement
Yep.
to define these things because that becomes your North Star.
Yeah, and it functions a little bit like a mission statement. If you're wondering, like, what's the difference? They're similar, except this is really focused on what you're doing with your 80,000 hours, like, in your career. So that's great. So thanks for walking us through that. And there's even, if you want to go like for extra credit, you can even get into more of the effective altruism movements for Christians. And there's some really cool work in the EA space about thinking about where is the highest impact of leveraging your career. Some people are in an earn to give. Like, I'm just going to try to maximize and make millions and millions and millions of dollars because I find that the best place to use my skill set is actually to try to earn as much as I can to donate some. What we're saying here is, wouldn't it be cool if you can also leverage your skill sets and what you're doing for those 80,000 hours to even be part of the problem, fixing some of those issues, creating innovative companies, helping new products and services solve some of these problems with the marketplace, not just with charity and donations, which is typically a typical Christian charitable approach to these problems. So Ken, maybe you can help us round the corner here and kind of get towards what is like a better, what's a better truth that we need to start believing to help us overcome this. I'll say this inaction of a lot of people throwing up their hands saying, Patrick, that all feels too big. It feels like it's 10 or 20 years away. How do we try to, challenge people with that?
Yeah. I think your purpose becomes more clear when you have a defined direction. And that defined direction is not perfection, it's just working, right? It's just progress, it's making movement. And that's what we call the marketplace calling statement. Now, I want you to think about how this marketplace calling statement works. Okay. So if you think about all these things, if you were to take it in one sentence, you want to say, I want to use my blank skills to solve blank problem for blank people or context. And the reason why this becomes important is because then you could say, hey, when you're looking at jobs, right? Say you're trying to search jobs, you don't start by just opening up Indeed, right? And just scrolling down. You say, hey, what do I feel called to? Let me start let me start doing that. Let me start looking for jobs that fit there or help me grow the skill sets that I need or get closer to the people that I want to work with or the problem I want to work with, right? You start to navigate that process. So the truth that you need to know is don't wait for the perfection. Work on progress, work on the North Star. You have a direction, start moving forward.
That's right. And some examples might be like, I want to use my analytical skills to solve financial inefficiencies, right, for small business owners. Or maybe I want to use my operational leadership capabilities to help scale startups to make companies that are going to bless frontier markets. Right? There's so many different ways to do this. I met an engineer in our program called Operate with Purpose. And he's like, Patrick, I'm an engineer. I'm good at software stuff and I care about homeless people, not sure how to put all these things together. And we are working through the research process and working through our RISE program and Operate with Purpose. And he got some clarity real fast. Like, whoa, what if I could actually use my engineering skills to build AI guided experiences for low income people to break through to avoid becoming homeless? And he's like, whoa, getting that guy to a moment where he can actually have an epiphany like that. It's a good example of someone who started with, how do these worlds even touch? And trying to link them together with now he's working on that marketplace calling statement. So that's an example of what that could look like in your own work, which can operate with purpose. Is this a good moment to mention that?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Let's jump
You're
on in.
already in it. Go for
I already kind of went a little bit into it. So just to kind of continue it out, on our website, we have under the resources section, you'll see Operate with Purpose. It's a program that we're using university campuses across the country, but also young professionals. We got people that are late 20s into their still going like, man, I just want trying to figure out, I think I need to make a change. I think I just want to get clearer on where God is putting me because I don't think it's climbing this ladder at this company or staying in this industry. And so it's basically a program that's wrapped up in about 6 sessions, and you can consume these sessions at your own pace. And then what's cool is like you're going through. I remember we're talking, Ken, about like you don't just go to Indeed. We have a custom GPT called Research Ray, and you
it.
have a short chat conversation, and within about 2 or 3 minutes, Ray comes back with amazing list of like super relevant organizations, businesses, podcasts, conferences, all the stuff that like launches you into figuring this out, so you can try to clarify, more about your marketplace calling statement. So that's just one little thing that we do within Operate with Purpose. But yeah, we'll put a link to that in the notes when we post this one out there. But that's just a quick plug on Off Purpose.
Yeah, and that's a free thing that you could do with us. I would encourage all of you to check that out, especially if you're trying to figure out, hey, I would really love help in creating a mission statement like this. Or sorry, I did it again, but a marketplace calling statement like this,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Where you find clarity and you feel excited about that. And once you do, then the next thing comes, and that's actually creating a roadmap where for yourself on how do you actually make this thing not just an idea but reality. That's next week's episode. Come join us and hang out with us, and until then, stay blessed and continue to operate with purpose.